I'm recording that. I'm recording you. I'm recording me. You're recording you.
Sort of, yeah.
That's a nice hat.
Yeah. Daiwa one.
Daiwa.
Team Daiwa.
Does it have tackle and baits on it anywhere?
No, just Team Daiwa.
That's a nice hat.
Yeah. It's very autumny, isn't it?
What, because it's brown?
Yeah, orange and brown. Autumn colours.
Is that what the sales rep told you?
No, that's what I tell people.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, they're autumnal.
Yeah.
Well, we're now getting towards spring, so you're kind of like... You missed that.
Yeah, I need green and yellow now, don't I?
Don't know.
It's all black. It's all black at the minute.
Have you seen it?
All white. It's not snowing again, is it?
Oh, I don't know. I give up. If it's not snowing, it's raining.
Mm.
If it's not raining, I don't know what's going on. But there we go. Should we make a start?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get straight into it. I don't know what episode we're on. I've lost track completely. Lockdown's completely got to me. Last week we didn't even bother having an episode because, well, mainly I was ill.
You do.
Yeah. At one point I thought, no, surely to God I haven't got it, have I? But I think I actually had an allergy to some paint, so...
Huh.
Yeah, but a bit weird.
What sort of paint?
House paint.
Huh.
Just for walls.
What, was someone else painting then, or?
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Well, I was say.
No, I get allergies to strange things. I'm highly allergic to horses.
Horses?
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes my lips tingle to start off with, and then my asthma plays up and my nose starts to run and it gets really bad. And my similar type of reaction to this, but it's a bit weird. But that was on Sunday night, Monday, so we just knocked it on the head. And I think also we've kind of made a bit of a... Your phone's fallen down again.
Well, yes, because people are messaging me. It's time of night, isn't it? Everyone's at home. Just had the tea and bored shitless. Just starts sharing shit on Facebook, don't they?
Anyway, I think we've made the decision that for the next few weeks we're just going to do a podcast every 2 weeks because it is a struggle, isn't it, to try and get any quality out there at all. I mean, we've got the third video that you did for us this week, which is the pole elastic video.
Yeah, it's a short video, and it's only a little video, that one.
But it's great that you did that because I think it then gives some meat to the podcast because it's something relevant to some of the anglers out there, and they can have a little look and purchase some items, which is good. Cool. Football's banned. We're not talking about football.
Why? What are you on about? It was all right when Newcastle were all doom and gloom last week. We've won 2 games since the last podcast, you know.
Well, our low knee did score for you.
Oh. Well, he's in a good team now, isn't he? You know, attacking team. Yeah.
But I was going to say, and we're definitely not mentioning the rugby.
Oh, mate, me and my brother were watching it, and my brother was like, we're just looking at each other going, I don't think England have ever been so bad, ever, in my life. They were awful.
Didn't even watch it. I actually forgot it was on. I was so desperate after the Villa game, I thought, oh no. Forgot about the rugby, and it's a good job I forgot about it. So we've
forgot about the rugby. It completely ruined my weekend. It's like
I forgot about the Six Nations. COVID has completely and utterly frazzled my brain. I got to it's like it's February.
This sums my life up at the minute. I called into the local garage a couple of Saturdays ago to get some beer. I thought, I'll get some beer on the way home. And sat there in the queue, and this lady in front was like, "Oh yeah, I've got put all this alcohol on." I thought, "Of course, she must be having a good night." So, "Oh yeah, a woman in my support bubble's coming round, blah blah blah." And the guy was like, "Oh, help you support your drinking and all this?" And I thought, I'm getting these beers, and all I've got to look forward to is who's behind the mask on ITV. And I thought, how shit has my life got that I'm watching who's behind the mask on a Saturday evening? That's the highlight of the weekend.
Mate, I don't even know what that is. Is that a singing thing?
Yeah. It's when the old celebrity singers are behind the mask and you don't know who it is and you have to guess and all that. It's...
Oh, mate, if that's what you're looking forward to, you're totally screwed, aren't you?
I know.
Really? Yeah.
I'm knackered. I might as well give up now.
Well, the cricket's on as well. I mean, we can talk about the cricket because I'm doing well at the cricket, and
yeah, it's about bedtime, isn't it? Cricket.
I get up and I forget it's not on Sky, and every time I go, oh, it's not on Sky, it's on terrestrial. But yeah, we are actually doing okay. One or two things. Do you know what? I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I'm getting a million things on Instagram.
I think cricket was the only thing I didn't play for the school team at. I think cricket because I didn't enjoy cricket at all.
You had a good rugby coach, though, didn't you?
Yeah, we had Mr. Kenning for a couple of years, yeah. Some bloke, Mr. Page, took us for a few years. We were terrible. Yeah, and football coach. You were football as well, weren't you?
Oh, I thought football was just... Yeah.
It was just a day away for you, weren't it, I reckon?
Nah, football just didn't enjoy football at school. As in, with the teaching it, because the kids got so much football outside of school that really it was like, yeah. But rugby was cool because it was a new skill, wasn't it? So you could actually, I
think when you was like year 6, and then you were looking forward to go to secondary school, so you could play rugby. That was the first thing you did. It was like straight in to rugby, and everyone was new to it. And for me, that's what I enjoyed most about secondary school was the rugby.
Well, mate, when I went to school, you actually tried to avoid physical contact because there was too much of it going on in the playground. And then now, I think rugby is about the only thing the kids can do to actually let some aggression and some steam off. Because it's a bit of a... Anyway, we've digressed. We've gone well away from fishing, but maybe that's all we've got to talk about. Now, actually, joking apart, we've got quite a few things to talk about this week.
Right.
Would you like to start off with what's going on at Rookery? Because you guys have been incredibly busy there the last few weeks.
Yeah, luckily we picked a decent few days with the weather. Can you imagine netting in these conditions? It would be absolutely freezing. So yeah, we sort of, well, because there's no matches, I don't think there'll be matches for quite a few weeks now. Personally, I can't see matches until at least April at the very earliest for me. But you never know. You know, March the 8th, I think, or March the 12th is a date a few people have been branding about as that's when the tier system's going to come in. But who knows? But we're just cracking on and getting as much done as we can. I mean, Magpie is an absolute mess at the minute. But same old saying, you can't make an omelette without cracking an egg. So we're fortunate that we've got the machinery we have. We've redone a few of the platforms. The erosion was incredible when we drained it down for the netting. I think peg 6 or 5, between 5 and 6 for those that know Magpie, there's a tree right on the corner. And I think you could get a whole person underneath the tree. How that tree is still there, I don't know. A lot of the problem with the erosion is a lot of it is peat where we are there. We're proper in the fen. There's bog oaks everywhere, which the net kept snagging on, which was quite entertaining. And it just washes away. And as over the years, we've got 3 or 4 areas on that lake now. And it's surprising how much nature does take it out of it. I mean, when it was dug, I remember walking in there as a kid, just walking around going, oh, yeah, I wonder what this will be like in like 20 years' time. And we're 20 years on now. And where there was islands, there's no islands now. They're completely washed away. And it's mad, really. But when the water level goes down, you can really... What you sort of picture in your head, what sort of bottom you've got, and you think, well, actually, it's nothing like it. You know, it's all over the place. You think it's a flat bottom, but it's not. It's here, there, and everywhere. So that was really interesting. Obviously, we've cleared a few as much as we can, and then obviously we've come on to the netting. So the plan with the netting was to take as many roach and silverfish out of Magpie, just because it is absolutely rammed with fish. It's one of those lakes that in the summer is phenomenal. You know, they're proper carp. They've been in there a long time now. They've wised up. First couple of 3 hours, you literally catch an odd fish here and there. And the last 2.5 hours, it's fish are chucked down the edge and they're big fish. So it's really good fun. Can be a little bit peggy, especially in the winter. This year, before we obviously went into lockdown, the lake was... 36 was always a good peg. That wasn't producing as much. The fish weren't in the same pegs every time. The fish were moving about a bit more, which keeps a few people on the toes. But we feel that the lake needed a bit of a freshen up, a bit of a change. And with obviously the restrictions of no matches, there was no better time really to do it. So, like I say, got the nets out. We probably did 3 proper swoops. A 100-metre net, a 60-metre net, and a 40-metre net. So we had the gear to do it, and the plan was to remove as many silvers and roughly £1,000 of carp into the new Lake Crow. Just the reason why I wanted to do that was to just give a few more bigger fish in Crow when it opens, because a lot of new lakes when they open, they're small fish, lots of them, so they're willing to feed. Whereas we just felt it needed them better fish where you can catch down the edge last couple of hours, or if you're behind, you've got a chance of clawing yourself back into the match, or even for pleasure fishing, you catch them on a method or bomb, pellet waggler fish. So that's the idea with that. And in the first swoop, we got that. So pretty much after that, it was chuck the carp back and get as many roach and other silvers out as we could. It was surprising, really. There wasn't no pike, which was good. I think if a lake's been there that many years and the water comes from the drains and stuff like that,
you think one or two would get in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you get loads and loads of little perch. So I remember when we did Jay, probably thinking on my timeline, probably 3 years ago now, we did Jay and we got 2 pike out of there, little jacks, like £3 a piece. So no surprises really. There was the nice thing for me was to see the silvers, in matches, and that they're not really fished for because you're not going to win on them.
No.
So it was nice to see a really good stamp of roach as well. Lots of sort of 4 to 6 ounce fish, some over £1. Really stunning fish. Not a mark on them. They don't get fished for. So the plan with taking them out was to go into the new Nutcracker Lake, which is only a little 7-peg pleasure lake, but I think it's going to have 13 or 14 different species of fish in there. So it's going to be a proper, bites all through the year. Be ideal for that. So we probably took 400 to 500 pound of roach out of there, and probably 100 pound of like odd crucians, perch, odd bits and pieces, odd fantail, odd goldfish to go into that lake. So that will help in the summer when temperatures are high and there's plenty of bait being going in. It just helps the oxygen levels quite a bit, to be honest. So that was good to see those. We put a few of those. Obviously, we didn't put all those into the new lake. We put some into Rook, which has been really popular this year. We've allowed keep nets through the winter period for silvers only, and it's up and down with the weather. If you have a proper cold day, it doesn't tend to respond that well because it's quite deep. But they've been catching up to sort of £40 of silvers in not all the time, but if you hit it on the right day, you might catch £30-40 of skimmers on the pole or feeder. And then hopefully with these roach and that, people will have a nice sort of £15-20 of roach, and they're big roach as well. It's not easy to catch them, but when you catch them, they're nice fish.
Yeah, I've seen some of the photographs. They look beautiful. So, did you put £1,000 in weight of F1s back into?
Eventually, yeah, they haven't come yet. So the plan with the carp obviously went into Crow, which is now fully stocked. There's a considerable lot of fish in there. We're just waiting for that to dry out. It's all parked behind your peg as well. So as you can imagine, new grass. You don't want people parking on it. There's no rush at the minute. So the Crow will be open, I reckon. As soon as it dries out, we can get people on there, mate. It will be a fish chuck when it goes. Pellet waggler, bomb, feeder, pole, margins, bit of everything. So that'll be a good one. And then the F1s were meant to be coming this week. They're not now because of the weather. I think the stock ponds are all frozen solid where they're coming from, so it's not worth the risk. So there's £1,000 of F1s going into Magpie to replace the carp. So the idea of that is obviously winter time, a few more bites, and in the summer they tend to feed more throughout the day, F1s. So I think that will encourage the other fish to feed as well and just spruces it up. I mean, we had about, when was it, 2 years ago we had that real hot summer. Do you remember when it was really, really warm?
Well, most
It must
summers,
have been
we get some really hot summers now, don't we?
Yeah, but it was. I think when it was the World Cup, it was that summer anyway.
Oh.
So it was that
2 or 3 years ago.
2018.
Yes, was it?
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, sure it was, because I remember watching it in the calf, and
Yes,
that was real hot. We had a World Cup, and England were doing well in the World Cup. The summer was amazing, and it was like woohoo! And now we've got this shit to deal with COVID, eh? But yeah, in 2018 we had a good spawn, obviously the year before, and there was thousands of little carp like this, and we said, look, don't put them in your nets because they're just going to die. So everyone was staying, just chucking them back, and then the next year they were probably 4 to 6 ounce, these little fish, and it fished its absolute nuts off. And I mean, that's when we had like 500-pound weights. I mean, we've had last year there was 300s, 200 pounds is commonplace on there. And excuse me. And I think the reason why it fished so well is because these small fish were competing for food, and whereas the other fish were sort of setting their ways, knowing that they're going to feed down the edge the last 2 hours, they know the bait's going to be there. I think these little fish were getting there before the other fish, and it just stirred the competition up. And I think that's what will happen this year on Magpie. That's what we're hoping anyway. So same amount of weight of fish, but smaller fish to hopefully spur the bigger fish into feeding more. That's the plan with that.
Well, the fact that if you think about it, you've taken £1,000 in weight of carp out and putting £1,000 in weight of F1s in, but you've taken out a considerable amount of silverfish out.
That's it,
which would allow the carp to grow bigger anyway.
Well, and the F1s as well.
And the F1s, yes.
Yeah.
I think Magpie just seems one of those waters that is just incredibly rich.
It is. It's like its own little ecosystem there with the trees, and in the summer it's almost too hot, and we have to keep an eye on it a lot. Over the years we've had problems with oxygen. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we had a few barbel, probably 150 barbel in there, from 3 to probably nearly £7 they were. And one particular day, we're learning as well. You're looking at the weather and it's absolutely roasting, and all of a sudden you get one of them real overcast days, no wind, muggy, and that's keeping a look at the colour of the lake as well.
Yeah.
Obviously in the sun, the algae is blooming, and it's getting greener and greener and greener, and the fishing's brilliant. Then all of a sudden it goes a milky grey colour overnight, and all that algae's dead, and that's when you get problems. And like what we see this year with the old Neem with that rain, didn't we?
And the thunderstorms,
there was massive fish kills everywhere.
Yeah, the big thunderstorms really promoted kill off the algae quickly, doesn't it? You get that crash in oxygen levels, and big problem. Yeah, but no, it's great because I know you've put a lot of work in at the fishery. I mean, you do all the time. I mean, not just yourself, but your dad and all the other guys who are related to it.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've really gone for it now with the digging of crow out and that smaller nutcracker lake, which is going to be a lovely little lake to fish for fun. But you've also, what I like about it is that you're kind of like promoting your own stock, because you obviously you grow on from the willow roots, but you've actually managed the fish, because you've realised that in Magpie you've got too many fish in there. And so you've managed that, and also by taking the silvers out, you're going to allow the existing stock and the new stock going in. It's just going to explode. And I just think, I think some of the match weights on both that and crow are going to be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Magpie is always good lake. We're going to we obviously use AstroTurf quite a bit at the fishery, and we're going to put an AstroTurf path all the way around the lake, so to every swim, just because in the winter it's an absolute bog, especially in the sort of from 14 round to 25. It's really, really wet because it's always in the shade from the trees. And on the island as well, sort of 28 to 34, they're always a bog as well. So we're going to address that, which will make it cleaner for everyone. AstroTurf's it's a pretty good thing, really.
Well, Well, you do look after it, and the whole fishery is really, rather than just being holes in the ground and looking bare, it's over.
Yeah.
It's what 15 odd years old now. It's really maturing beautifully.
It's older than that, yeah.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
I think Rook was dug, which is the original lake, in 2000. So 21 years. Yeah.
Wow. It's good.
But I mean, it's mad because I was there from the start. You know, I was there. I can remember walking in the middle of Rook with the bulldozers going up and down and looking out, going, "God, how deep is this?" You know. And then now I'm looking from a shop window, and I remember planting the trees. You know, we had a special day where James and Claire invited all the families over, and and had a big. I think it was November, so it was like a bonfire type party.
Yeah.
And everyone had to plant so many trees. So Kelvin had been round, and you've got a special machine on his digger. He just put all the holes, and then everyone just went and put all the trees into the holes and backfilled it.
Nice.
And then obviously went back for the old traditional bonfire party type thing. And that was quite a few years ago. And now you look at it, and it's like taking trees out because there's that many there, which is a nice thing to have, really. Really is.
He's done well. It's gonna, and what we'll do once we can get out and we'll do some little videos to try and promote the lakes as well. So
yeah, definitely. The other we netted the other thing which was sort of got me and my dad quite miffed really. On Saturday we drained down Jackdaw, which is another little lake that we've sort of marketed as a kids lake, but it's not really. It's got a bit of everything in it, and over 3-4 years, every time there's been a match on Raven, if they've caught any little perch, we just chuck them straight in there. So you can imagine over 3-4 years, 2 or 3 matches a week. That's a lot of perch, and we put a few of our home breed or ghosty common things in during lockdown last year. So we wanted to net it because there's been perch caught up to sort of £3 and photographed, witnessed and everything. So we used the fry net on there, 50-metre fry net, which is obviously a finer mesh. And it's like a pizza slice shape with a little island in the middle. So we netted it, we went in and went round it and then pulled up the far end. So we did there was only one little bit maybe the fish could get back round. But anyway, as we're netting it, you could see there was a lot of fish in the net. And we knew there's a lot of fish in there because we're using it as a stock pond and for the other lakes. And anyway, we got pulled the net, so we're going through them. I looked at my dad, and Dad's looking at me, he's like, you had any perch? I'm like, no, I've like 20 perch. Anyway, I think in God knows how many hundreds of pounds of fish, there was probably 50 perch in the whole lot.
And none of any size?
None over 2 ounces.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, well, there's one caught in here nearly £3. There's others in here that are £1.5, £2, and there must be millions of perch in here because we put them in it. Where have they gone?
Yeah.
So it was an absolute myth when we didn't get any. We got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little carp. So the idea was to crop the bigger fish.
Yep.
So we probably got 300 to 400 pound of like 1 to 5 pound fish, which will obviously grow in there. Nothing was stocked in than sort of 6-8 ounces. So we cropped them. They've gone into Raven and Jay, and then we put everything else back. But we've had a few anglers fish it since, and they've not caught any perch. Pleasure fished it, and it makes you wonder where they've gone, because there must be hundreds and hundreds in there.
Perch are funny things. I mean, you mentioned this to me the other day, didn't you? And I was saying to you, I was racking my brains thinking that so the simplest thing is that they're not there. As in, they did the perch because perch are weird. Sometimes they'll get a disease and they'll all die in a fishery, right. And I've seen that happen before. But I'm not saying that's what happened in Jackdaw, but that can happen. But they'd float to the surface, and you see the girls and the terns dive bombing. So you would have noticed that. So that probably didn't happen. Did 1 or 2 big perch basically target cannibalistically target the small perch, which they could have done.
Yeah.
And did they eat most of them and then die of old age? Because perch don't live very, very long. I think 5 or 6 years. They have a very short
Right.
lifespan. But it is a bit of a weird one because, it would be nice if that £3 perch had become a £4 perch, wouldn't it? It'd have been a it'd been a nice sort of
strange.
story. Yeah,
Strange. I mean, the other thing, going back to magpie, when we did that, there was quite a few sort of 3 to 4 ounce perch, but nothing. There was only one fish bigger than that, and that was about 2 and a bit pound, I suppose, 2.5 pound.
Right. Yeah.
And all them little perch have come from that one big one. They must have done, because there was no other perch, and it was the same on Jay when we netted that 3 years ago. There was 2 perch that were £2 a piece, and every single one of them was half ounce to 3/4 of an ounce, tiny little wasp.
Yeah. Mate.
And
I think
it's mad, isn't it?
I think they're like pike. They will eat their brethren, their offspring, quite readily.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the perfect size for them to eat. Who knows? For everyone listening, you've probably been hearing a very strange sound in the background the last 10 minutes. An extractor fan has come on in my house, and I can hear it beautifully through the mic.
I can't hear it.
No, you can't hear it. I can. It's like one of my headphones is going boing, boing. So I'm going to go and turn it off in a mo. So maybe this is an ideal opportunity, Alex, to leave the Rookery Water there, because we'll do some videos on it at some point, and we'll show people what crow looks like and some of the fish that are in there. I'll beat you on the method feeder, and you can use the pole. I'll give you a good thrashing.
Yeah.
I might even bring the swing tip out of retirement.
You'd probably catch on that in there, to be honest.
Probably would.
Yeah,
But once when we obviously with lockdown and everything, we can start doing a bit, and obviously it's dried out. We'll do a bit on there, and I believe that we might be able to get a little bit of footage or some of the stocking and produce a couple of short videos for that in the next few weeks as well. So that'll be pretty cool. But it's taking shape fantastically. So what we'll do, I'm going to slot in now the little section you did on pole elastics. So everybody watching on YouTube, you'll get to see the pole elastics visually. Everyone listening via the audio podcasts, damn you, you're going to have to subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch it on there. But obviously you can hear what Alex is saying about the pole elastics as well. I know it was a few weeks ago now, Alex, and you probably can't remember what you said. Is there anything you want to say about that little section before I drop it in?
I'm just trying to think about what... I think the video was more about what elastics I'd use on natural venues in this area.
Yeah.
I think the thing to say is there's absolutely millions and millions of elastics in the shop, and everyone has their favourites, but I think a lot of the elastics in the shop are more targeting commercial fishing. There's lots of obviously hybrid elastic now. I've got one out now. I haven't actually had a chance to use, but I've got it in a couple of top kits, and I think that will replace like my light hollows that I used to use, like in a short piece, like on the 20-foot, or just on venues where you got to swing to hand a bit more. So it's initially soft and then powers up quite quick. So I think they'll replace those, and then that's another ball game, really, Andy. Commercial fishing is. I think we spoke, haven't we, about we're going to do perhaps a bit more through the season.
Yeah, it makes sense with everything that's going on to actually become a bit of... Well, we'll do lots of commercial fishing videos over the coming months. For nothing else, we'll push Rookery because it's becoming a fantastic fishery, but we may as well look at the different disciplines.
I think I can probably get some good guests as well obviously the anglers that fish Rookery and that. I'm
sure
quite a few.
I'm sure Polly will pop down.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, Polly. We've got young Tom Edwards. We can, there's loads of Jimmy, loads of really good anglers that fish our place. So
there's a Tim Bates.
Tim Bates. Is he the guy that helps weigh in sometimes?
He's the guy that falls in a lot on the old course of the Nene.
Yeah.
Tim
Bates.
We'll get him involved. Anyway, right, let me go and turn this extractor fan off. We'll slot in the pole elastic section now, and then we'll be back with myself and Alex before you know it.
Picking the right pole elastic for the drains, I think it's quite simple. There's hollow elastics now, hybrid elastics, and your traditional solid elastics. For me, for small silverfish fishing, I tend to stick for just the standard solid elastics. The reason why I use solid elastics is they're thinner. Most of my fishing is done in the winter on natural venues, and they don't tend to suffer from the cold. Hollow elastics and other elastics like that, they tend to stiffen up, harden up when it's cold. Just simple lube on these and they run really smooth. Obviously everyone's top kits are different lengths depending on what poles you have. I use a Daiwa pole. Most of my elastics are through a top 2 kit or a match top 3 kit with the number 1 removed. It's one of those subjects, some people like having a thinner piece of pole in the end, some people don't. I'm one for taking it out and I just put a Daiwa match number 2 into the number 2 section, so it's quite thick but it's a thinner bore, which helps these solid elastics run perfectly. And then say if I was doing more commercial fishing, I could just pop that out and put the hydro number 2 straight in, and then I can use your conventional sort of hydros, your hollows. There's tons and tons of elastics on the market. Everyone has their own opinions on what's best and what's not, but these are just what I tend to use for the drains. So for example, most of the fishing on the drains, you're fishing for fish from ounce and smaller up to sort of 4 or 5 ounce, and they're shallow as well. So that's why I like to have my elastic through my top 2. Just it gives me more elastic when I'm shipping back. More elastic comes out of the pole. It just cushions everything. I think I'm one of these anglers that likes to leave a section on when I'm swinging fish in. So by having it through the 3, it just gives that little bit more cushion when I'm swinging fish to hand. The other thing to remember is the size of the fish and whereabouts on the venue you're going to be using it. So for a prime example, I know we all talk about the Old Neen and Benwick. They're all very similar depths. So for that shorter line, I will use a Preston Slip 4 and 5. Those two there. They're brilliant elastics. You could use them for 90% of your fishing on the drains. Through 3. The occasions where I just have them through my top 2. So the reason why I just have them through my top 2, it's a short piece of elastic, it bottoms out quicker. So if I was fishing my 4-and-1 method that we use quite a lot on the Fenland drains, where you're sort of fishing short but fast, it just everything's to hand. You can fish a slightly smaller elastic, but when it comes to swinging it in, it's to your hand, nice and neat. Sometimes when it's through 3, you strike and the fish is down here and you're stretching, which slows you down a little bit. So they're the 2 elastics I majority used on the drains for down the middle in the deeper water. You could even use these at Ramsey St Mary's in the slightly deeper ones. They're just brilliant elastics. So I'd use these for all those, and then just for a top 2 kit when I want to be a bit more to hand and not so much elastic coming out, a bit more aggressive. Now another elastics that I use are the midi high vis. So these are the 2 grades I use the most. The 3 to 4 I normally use for sort of the 11 metre line, where you're going up the far shelf, loose feeding squats and catching fish from ½ ounce up to 4 ounces. Through 3 again, this is my go-to elastic for that. I've tried all sorts. I just like it. The way I fish it sort of is perfect for me. It does last quite long as well. That's the other good thing about solid elastics. You don't have to keep changing as much, as long as you just check the ends, make sure there's no wear and tear. You don't want to be swinging a decent fish in and your whole rig and everything goes. So that would be more for like your March, that sort of venues. Then when you go into sort of Factory Bank, Benwick, where you're fishing right across in really shallow water, I tend to use the 1 to 2. Just for the simple fact you don't get the fish splashing on the strike. You can lift into the fish and be in more control. The fish aren't sort of spooking the rest of the shoal. So that's what I would use for fishing across. Another elastic that I use quite a lot is, say if I was fishing more aggressive on sort of top 4s, top 5s venue where I'm fishing short, particularly the 20 foot, I use just for a top 2 kit is either yellow hydro or this new 5 slip. It's initially soft when you strike, so you can set the hook decent enough, but then again when it comes to swinging in, you haven't got loads of elastic and the fish is in the water and you're trying to lift the fish up, so you can be really aggressive with those elastics. Again, if I was fishing for silvers on commercials, Preston 5s or 6s, brilliant elastic. All these two here through free. Yellow hydro is particularly good for silverfish. So I don't like to complicate my elastics, keep things really simple. I have a range of top kits to suit different venues, and that way I can have duplicate rigs set up as well, but these elastics are what I tend to go for on the Fenland drains.
Okay, that pole elastic section, Alex, was fantastic. A bit like the ground baits and the pole floats. If anyone's got any questions, just phone you up at the shop.
Yep. Give me a call, mate. Yep.
Cool, and we'll go from there. Did you get many people bombard you about ground baits?
I had a few people ring up, but I think if people were actually getting out fishing a bit more, then maybe. But yeah, I think, like I say, with elastics and ground baits, people do have their own preferred choices. But with pleasure fishing, now's the time to, if you are going pleasure fishing, I know a lot of match anglers haven't been, now's the time to try new elastics, new ground baits, and get confident in catching fish. So yeah, like I say, give us a ring if they need anything, and you know where I am.
Cool, excellent. Well, I suppose you haven't been out at all, have you? I mean, I know you tried to do a feature, haven't you? But it's been cancelled. And
last time I went fishing was the biggest match of the year, head to head against old Timmy Bates.
Yeah.
Christmas bash.
Were you both blanked?
First time, so he was happy. He said, "Should we just call it each?" No. So yeah, the river's been a bit high. It's been mental, hasn't it?
I've had to inflate a life raft just in case I get flooded. No, joking apart, it's been bad. I mean, I've actually managed to get out a few times. It's been ridiculous. I've been kind of like basically checking the weather forecast. I felt like a weather forecaster, checking the river levels and getting out whenever I could. I've managed one proper pike session because it's been so bad, and I've done a bit of the BSF. I'm doing some little range of videos of just one or two local venues. Yeah. So that's been quite.
You're a bit slow hitting them bites, isn't you?
Oh mate, they're quick. I'll just wait for them to hook
the
themselves.
Liners.
Yeah.
Liners. The ones you hook are when you wind into them, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, that one's on.
Oh yeah, got to hook them. No, not really.
Yeah.
No, but it's been really good learning there, and using those little baits has been interesting. But also, what's been really interesting is I've bumped into one or two people who just met on the bank, and the last week or the week before, I think it was the week before, I'm losing track of time, I was walking along the bank and I saw a lady photographing a zander for another angler, and I thought, oh, someone's caught one and I can't catch one. And it was photographing another lady's catch, and I met two lady lure anglers. And it was lovely to meet not just blokes but two women fishing as well. And these ladies were actually all kitted out. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were well into their lure fishing, and it was, for me, it's like, this is good. We need to get. It's so gender ridden, isn't it? Angling with just male dominated. Mm-hmm. But these two ladies, they were well into what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. One was using a drop shot. One was using a Texas rig. So they were doing different methods. They were helping each other, and they had really explored sort of the light lure fishing discipline to quite a good degree. And I was standing there talking to them, and I thought, no, this is good, because lure fishing lends itself to picking up your gear and going. It's quite clean. You haven't got to mess about with maggots or dead baits or whatever. You can get your lures and you can go. And I just thought, this is good. This type of fishing is appealing to lots of people, and it's a growing part of the sport. So the two ladies' names were Adele and Adele, so that's quite easy to remember. And yeah, they're really heavily into their lure fishing, so it was great to meet them. And then conversely, I was out somewhere else. I'm not giving anything away, but I did meet 118.
Oh, but he only fishes the best canal in Norfolk.
And he politely asked to fish next to another lady who was out fishing on her own, who was actually dead baiting for pike, and her
Right.
name was Dylan. So it was just like I met 3 lady anglers within a week, and I thought, this is good. That actually, it's not. Well, it is heavily male dominated. We need to get a lot more women in the sport. But just through coincidence, I bumped into 3 ladies on the bank, and I just thought, this is good. This is the way it needs to keep going. I mean, I know I harp on about going to Sweden, but when I go to Sweden to the sport fishing fair in March, which is cancelled again this year, sadly, the range of age and sex of the people visiting the fair is amazing. It's not just male dominated, it's not just middle-aged to old men, it's youngsters, it's families, it's women going on their own. It's absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure this stat's correct. When I spoke to someone recently, I think in Sweden, 0.8 million people play football and 1.6 million go fishing.
Right.
So, it's great that a country, I know they've got a lower population density, they've got a massive country and it's beautiful, but they've really, fishing and lure angling in particular is really booming over there now. And it was great to see, the 2 ladies I met on the bank, and there's a 3rd lady I met who was pike fishing, and I just thought, we really need to try and push this. I think it's responsibility of people like yourself, myself, and the older generation to try and open it up a bit more so it's not so male dominated, because it's the future of the sport. We need to make sure that we're making it accessible to everybody, because we're not just losing youngsters, but by just making it sort of smelly old men sitting on a riverbank swearing away and blah blah blah, it's I don't think it's great. So that was a really good thing. And for the next few months, if we can get 1 or 2 lady anglers on the podcast, that would be good. Just see where this takes us. And I think for me, it was a breath of fresh air, and I thought, this is good. So so I've been out and about doing that. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well is, I'll try and be a bit, how can I put it? I'll be professional about this. I always try to be. I'm a bit disappointed with our local environment agency, if I'm being honest with you. They started off a couple of years ago publishing incidents on Facebook. And to be fair to them, it didn't come across very well, because they would log the number of incidents and how many were attended and what they were. And because of the nature of that line of work of enforcement, it's impossible to attend every incident. So the incidents they attended were low, but they're going to be. And I accept that. And I really like that transparent way that they were portraying themselves. They were showing us what's happening and how they're responding to it. And I thought, you know what, fair play to them, because there's 2 enforcement officers that we have for our very large region. There's nowhere near enough, and these guys work incredibly hard. And I don't doubt that the other guys on the ground in the Environment Agency, they work incredibly hard. So they've got a very difficult job. So by showing us these figures on Facebook, these stats, it was good, because you kind of like had this transparency of what was going on, and you can understand it's a very difficult role to fill. Now, what happened was that last year we had the lockdown, then in May it went mental when fishing was allowed to happen again. The message wasn't put across very well. People thought they could go fishing anywhere, and it was still the close season. And it was carnage around here, with people fishing illegally. We had gill nets that we found, we had set lines, we had fish traps, you name it, it was going on. It was absolutely mental. So May, June was really difficult. The enforcement office from the Environment Agency, through no fault of their own, they were stood down basically, and they were only allowed to attend Category 1 incidents. And I think that came from DEFRA, way up the food chain, even above the Environment Agency. So because of the lockdown, they were told they could only do this. So again, you've got to be honest about these things. So they couldn't attend most incidents, only the Category 1. But what I'm disappointed with is that our local Environment Agency released the stats recently, not for May, because that was the next calendar month they were going to do. They put May, June, July and August all together, and rather than doing a table and listing the incidents and what they were and what they attended, they put them all together and they produced this little dot map of what incidents happened where over what months. and I felt like, they've done so well. They're being so transparent and showing people that there are lots of problems, but they're trying to deal with it. And they did this, and it just felt like a big, well, for want of a better word, they just spun it. And I just thought, no, why didn't you just carry on what you were doing, tell everybody what the issues were, what the problems were, what the issues that you faced were, because, it wasn't their fault. This is what they were made to do. And I just felt you've just let yourselves down there a little bit. In my opinion, I felt we had been seeing what was going on. We were talking to them and asking questions, and they've been very honest. And then they did this. And I just thought it's giving the customers, us, the wrong impression of what happened. Because May, June, July, August, there were loads of things happening that people were trying to deal with, the police were trying to deal with. And it makes it seem as though there's not an issue. And I just thought, where we are at the minute, we just need to be aware that we could have the same problem this year. Looking at what's happening with COVID and lockdowns, if we're not careful, we could have the same problem with individuals or gangs of individuals going out, targeting waters, netting them, and so forth and so on. And we have to learn from our mistakes. We can't have what happened last year happen this year, because basically some systems will be devoid of fish, particularly the predators and the bream shoals. They're going to get annihilated. So I just wanted to mention that because I was a bit disappointed. I did actually put it on the Facebook page how I felt personally, having known what happened and got some of the stats myself through the Fenland Guardian scheme, that really they could have been a bit more carried on doing what they were doing, because what they were doing was really good, because you could see very clearly of what the issues were. And I just thought, yeah, guys, you started this process, you've been doing it for a year and a half, 2 years. Why suddenly concertina those difficult months for you together? So just want to get that one off my chest, really. And some of the guys that we've been talking about this, ourselves, will know what I'm on about. And hopefully that's come across the right way. I don't want to... The Environment Agency have an incredibly difficult job, and the enforcement officers work incredibly hard. I just feel that the general public and the customers, which we are, need to know exactly what the issues are. And the way to do that is, if you started explaining it in one way, don't then change tack just because it's got a bit... It's difficult to explain the same way you're doing it before, because we had a lot of incidents. I mean, one guy that works at the Environment Agency actually put on social media that there was over 100 incidents phoned through in 1 week in May. That's how heavy it got. It was a difficult time. And, we all need to be aware of what's going on so everyone can be eyes and ears and help. So that's a bit of a whinge from me, a bit disappointed, but, I'm sure I'll get a message or two from one or two people who will try and put the other side of the story. But we'll just see what happens. So that was that one, really. So apart from that, Alex, I haven't got an awful lot of news that's going on locally, apart from the fact that everywhere's in flood.
Flood, yeah. Yeah. Not good, is it?
No, I don't think we're going to be able to get out much over the next couple of weeks, and the end of the season is fast approaching.
Yeah, I know. It's, I don't know, a few people have sort of said this week about, what all the floods do to fish stocks, and obviously it can't help, but I don't know. I think for the drains as such, that because they've been bombing through so hard at now, I think cormorants and things have sort of can't really do what they want to do as much. So they're probably going into lakes more than they would be on the drain. So maybe there's a little bit of a balance there. But we'll see, won't we? This time next year, we'll see. But the fish have had a rest, haven't they? So especially in the town, there's a... you think how many matches it's not got on now because of COVID. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Just keep... everyone listening, I do apologise. My phone started to receive a phone call. I don't know what's going on. But we'll keep talking. It will ring off in a minute. I don't know if you can hear that, Alex.
No, it's just got Andy's camera is off on my screen.
Yeah, so. I don't know what my phone's done. It will rectify itself in a minute. There we go. And
back yet?
We're back, yeah.
Yeah.
We're back. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's been a very strange time period. I mean, just doing the podcast has been weird because apart from stuff at Rookery and any local news, we can't talk about an awful lot, can we? Match results or anything, because
No.
there is. It just seems like everything's kind of like just stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just hope that some of these drains are okay, because without the match anglers on the Wednesday, Sunday, Saturday practicing, we kind of hoping that everything's okay, but we shall see for lots of different reasons, whether it be predation, whether it be illegal fish removal, and just the welfare of the drain, because during these high water levels things happen, don't they? Things fall in, things erode, and things get disturbed. Right, what we'll do then, we will have the podcast not next. Well, this one will go out this Wednesday, and then we'll do one for the following. I don't know what the correct term is. Every other week for the foreseeable future. Yeah. And what we do need to do, because I know guys have been interested in seat boxes, but you've been waiting for some stuff to come in, haven't you?
Yeah.
We
Will, we can perhaps do one setups and stuff like that. I suppose,
we'll try and do some more little drop-in videos for the podcast, but obviously we have to rely on Alex giving up his shop time to do the videos. So big ask on your behalf, but I'm sure we can get something sorted.
Aye,
Cool.
yeah. I think personally, the seat box one would be beneficial to do it on the riverbank. Really, get it set up, and it all looks nice and neat and tidy in the shop, doesn't it? But when you actually get it on the bank, different pegs and scenarios, I think it'll be a bit different. Yeah.
I didn't want to get it muddy.
Muddy,
yeah. You've been
what,
out
my
there.
seat box?
And just thought wherever we go, it's going to get muddy, isn't it? It's going to get like caked.
It won't hurt my seat box, mate. Have you seen the state of my gear?
Have you got a new one, a new seat box?
I get a new one every year, and then about 2 weeks it looks like I've had it 20 years.
Your new seat box?
Fish, well, to be honest, it might last me a bit longer, this one, because I'm not fished for God knows how long. So
does it come in?
Does
it come in autumnal colours?
Yeah,
Brown.
black.
Not brown and orange.
Black and more black.
Not brown and orange. Right, buddy, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for everybody for listening, and we will try and deliver some interesting material over the next month or two. But we will definitely get some footage of me thrashing Alex on the new Crow Lake, and maybe even the swing tip.
Yeah, righto.
Doing a bit of that. Yeah.
They won't even hit the bottom. Yeah.
Anything else to mention?
No.
No.
No,
Cool.
nothing, mate.
Let's bring this to an end then. This has been Tales from the Tackle Shop, a Fenland Fishing TV production.